There's been many choices for subcompact crossovers here in the country now. The Chinese brands have came in and even the Japanese brands have started to keep up now. But if you're looking for one that is one bang for your buck, great to drive, and also absolutely stunning, then maybe this car right here is the one for you. This is the 2022 Changan CS35 Plus. Today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. In terms of being visually stunning, the Changan CS35 Plus definitely is part of the upper echelon of cars. With a two-tone red and black exterior, this car right here looks really good. You also have this signature DRLs all over the front, not just on the sides but even in the middle towards your logo, and you also get LED lights down below. Plus, if you do notice, there is even a sensor down the middle because this car has ADAS features, which we will talk about later. Down on the side of the car, despite it being incredibly compact, it looks really sleek. Noteworthy things here include the 18-inch rims wrapped in GT tires, disc brakes both at the front and at the back, and also this molding down below, plus a floating roof effect up top with that black roof for this Luxe trim. Towards the back, it still looks equally as stunning as the front, with this beautiful light bar that stretches all across the back of the car. Especially at night, this looks absolutely beautiful. Down below, you get real dual exhaust. You also get somewhat of a spoiler up top, and most importantly, you do get a power tailgate with this car. Inside here, you have over 400 liters of space. Fold down those rear seats 60/40 and you get almost 1,000 liters of space. You also get a parcel cover right here, and you also get a false floor, which does house your spare tire. Now, if you do open up this hood, first thing you'll notice here is just how amazingly cool this is. Changan has paid attention to the small details and even given you a Changan logo by your hood pad. Anyway, the power plant of this car is a 1.4-liter turbocharged inline-4 gasoline engine, making 160 horsepower and 260 Newton meters of torque, making this also one of the top cars in terms of power in its class. This is mated to a 7-speed wet clutch, dual clutch transmission, and this car can do around 12 kilometers per liter in the city and about 20 kilometers per liter in the highway. Overall, not bad for the class. Climb on the CS35 and we check the door first. And the door sounds pretty good. And once you're seated back here, you do get plenty of adjustments for your seat. So you do get 4-way adjustments for the driver's side manually, but your forward and backwards is electrically adjustable. I don't know why they did that, but it's nice to have it. The passenger side though, they are only manually adjustable. The seat bolsterings, they are pretty much on the sportier side, but they're not incredibly aggressive to the point that larger people will not fit. Overall, the seats are a bit firm, but they are very comfortable even for longer journeys. My problem with this car though, as for ergonomics, is that the steering wheel, while it is tiltable and also telescopic, I find that the telescopic part is it doesn't come far enough towards you, so you do have to find yourself kind of stretching for the steering wheel. Nonetheless, it is covered in leather and is really nice to hold. Multi-functions too, including buttons for your adaptive cruise control. Remember that sensor up front? Now, your instrument cluster, it is digital. However, the speedometer itself and the tachometer are on the either sides of that 7-inch screen, and they're not really part of the screen itself, but it still is incredibly easy to read. Towards the center, you have a 10-inch touchscreen, unfortunately with no Apple CarPlay nor Android Auto, but you do get a 360-degree view camera that is quite clear, although sometimes laggy, and you do also get a built-in dash cam for this car. The rest of the interior is also pretty good. You get some brushed aluminum on it, a lot of soft touch materials all around the dashboard, the doors, and even this center part right here. You have a single zone climate control inside this car, and you also get a wireless charging pad, an electronic parking brake, 2 cup holders by the center, and a really big storage down here by your center armrest. As for features in this car, you do get 6 speakers, you get TPMS, you get a panoramic sunroof up top. Then for the safety part, you get hill descent control, hill hold assist, adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, and forward collision warning. And now here at the back, we check the door too. It sounds pretty good as well. Once you're seated back here, you will feel incredibly comfortable because the Changan CS35 Plus is one of the cars in the segment that actually gives you pretty good thigh support. The length of the bench part of the seat is pretty good, so it gives you a very comfortable ride. The recline is also pretty good, so longer journeys is perfect in this car. Legroom is pretty good, as well as headroom despite this panoramic sunroof, and you get extra creature comforts such as this center armrest with 2 cup holders, and although you only have one Cyclops looking air vent, it's better than none. You also get one USB port down there, and should you want to seat 3 people in this car, you can kind of do it because the floor is almost completely flat and the car does feel a little bit on the wide side. And you also get this feature that I really like about this. You do get this car window at the back, which makes it less claustrophobic back here. Now we get to drive the Changan CS35 Plus. This car, for a subcompact crossover, when it comes to handling, it's pretty much excellent. This is one of the best in terms of handling in this class. The way that the body responds to every input you want it to do, it feels more like a subcompact sedan or a subcompact hatchback. It's just so incredibly nimble. Where you want it to go, it will go. Body roll is also kept to a bare minimum. Maybe it's not as direct and controllable as, let's say, the Geely Coolray, but the trade-off that you do get is that compared to, let's say, the Coolray, it rides a lot better. It's a lot more comfortable. The steering input in this car, it's electronically assisted, and you can even go into your infotainment system to change the weight of it. And especially if you put it into the sporty driving mode, it's incredibly responsive to steering inputs. The body control in this car too, it's quite direct. It really responds pretty fast. You do have a torsion beam at the back, but it really doesn't feel like such. You feel more like you are driving a multi-link in this car. Don't get me wrong, you still can't like take this to Tanay and expect to destroy some time. Not that you're supposed to be racing there, but for most of your city driving needs and for the times that you want to be a little bit more excited with your drives, this is one of the best handling cars in its class as well. Power in this car is also pretty good. It has 160 horsepower, so not the top in this class, maybe around number 2, but the power is always readily available. You step on it and it accelerates incredibly fast. The only problem I have with this one is the powertrain combo together with your dual clutch transmission. When you do step on the throttle, there seems to be a little bit of a delay before it decides to respond. So again, you have good handling, but the power, step on it, it takes around half a second or an entire second before it will actually shift into the gear for you. For example, now I step on it, there's a delay, and then it goes like that. But once it does go, there's just a little bit of a turbo lag, but halfway through your RPM band, around 2,500 or 3,500 RPM, you get a sudden surge of power. And the power in this one would really kick you back to your seats. Next problem, going back to that transmission, when you are in slower city speeds, it does feel a little bit jerky. It uses a wet clutch dual clutch transmission, but honestly, it feels more like the older dry clutch dual clutch transmissions that we used to feel with the Volkswagen Group cars. But it's not exactly a deal breaker. It's just not the most refined in terms of stop and go traffic city driving. Now, what about when you are driving on the open road? The Changan CS35 Plus's transmission, it feels a lot better here on the open road because it really doesn't feel jerky at all. And when you do want to overtake someone, bear your foot down, there is still a little bit of that delay, but once you get past that delay, it is a proper rocket ship, this thing. Now, the problem only slightly also arises on the open road when it comes to noise insulation, because despite riding on GT branded tires, which is actually one of my favorite tire brands out there, it gets a little bit loud in here above 70 kilometers per hour. However, the noise only does come from the tires. It doesn't really come from like the wing mirrors. There's not much wind noise in here. So if you're not too finicky about the noise that enters the cabin, this car would be great for your longer trips. I think this car is perfect for anyone who's simply looking for a great, comfortable cruiser that they can take the family out for everyday trips, as well as driving to work, but also wants to take the car out once in a while to some more engaging roads out there. And at 1.169 million pesos, the Changan CS35 Plus might just be the best looking and most bang for your buck car that you can get at this price point.